Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Peter Robinson, and today we've got Juan who is going to tell us about the Solidity VSCode extension. So Juan, I know you've been involved in blockchain for forever, or so it feels, but please tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, probably I can go through the presentation as I'm gonna be talking about that in a second,
Okay.
and I can go through it.
All right, why not?
Right.
All right.
So VS Code Solidity, myself. So Juan Blanco. So I've worked in IT for a long time, and I've done many things from developer architecture, solution architecture, and so on. And then the past 10 years, I've been involved in the blockchain space. Things I've done is people will know more is the VS Code Solidity and Ethereum. And first of all, before we get into this, I like to thank the Solidity team. Mainly, they've been working for so many years and they never stop, and if without them, really, I don't think we have seen many stuff that we have seen, even if, that we have seen. They've been a fantastic. Anyone that helped in the VS Code Solidity extension, and many of the open source developers that we have, that are helping now in Ethereum or any other open source development, because we all help of each other. So what's the VS Code Solidity extension? Well, it's mainly like a simple extension that has been put in VS Code and allows you to, from success highlighting to normal IDE functions, from completion, go to reference, completion, and so on. But before that, let's go to my journey into the rabbit hole. So late 2009 or 2010, I really kind of recall, but I just recall where I was working at the time at Trial Bitcoin. Mainly some friend of mine said like, hey, there's this thing called Bitcoin. So I went to the hotel as I was just working away, and then start and I trial. The interesting part is that I thought it was very good, but I didn't really think it will happen anything with it. So it was similar to SETI, so I put outside. But things that were happening at the time I was doing it was happening personally that I should probably have taken more notice, because I was working in an IFRS project that's international financial reporting system, and Zurich Insurance Financial Services, and mainly all the IFRS reports systems were due to the financial crisis. I had more to do with Northern Rock, which was one of the banks that were bailed out by the UK government, and they were part of the genesis of the Bitcoin. And like many others, my family was definitely deeply affected by the crisis, as they were in Spain and really ended up bankrupt. So you will have thought that I have to with Bitcoin, but I did it. So 2013, I hear Bitcoin is $1,000 now. I had played in between, but really didn't take much notice. And I was like, oh, well, what's happening here? And then I discovered things like Bitsers, Ethereum, and many others. And this is when everybody was really starting to coming up with these amazing ideas. Well, if they have before, I didn't really notice. And you have things like stable coins, decentralized exchanges, DAOs, at the regional level called DAX, decentralized autonomous companies, voting, domain registries, that was like done with the Pixels and Nikolai, which we will know him for Maker and many other projects was doing. So decentralized IDs as well. So it was kind of lots to gain and lots of to learn, you know. So it's like we all know anything that could be corrupted and tampered now could be put in blockchain and be trusted. So mainly I started getting involved with the researching and trying to help, you know. So it was a very interesting you know, journey of learning and trying to help others and seeing what I could do, but mainly that's helping in forums and creating little tools. So fast forward to 2015. Then I was just a scene architect at the Royal Mail. That was my day job. Still traveling, so I had plenty of time overnight to play around with stuff and help. That was an interesting job role, and pushing kind of got me more into the open source community, even if I was, you know, tried to get involved for so many years. But mainly I this is the time that Royal Mail was being privatized. And mainly all the people who I was responsible for the transition of all the systems from the CSC managed from the Royal Mail, the public Royal Mail, to the new companies. And mainly I was seeing like all these people who had worked for so many years, they were being made redundant, and good package or not, but all, you know, all their life and soul have gone into these systems, and then it was kind of disappearing, you know, into some ether, you know. So that kind of really was influencing me to the whole the open source community and comparison to what's happening in the blockchain space. Like everybody was sort of helping to each other, you know, big communities and then new financial systems and or that could support and mainly making systems that will last forever. Yeah. So and that's the same year, like January, I started the Crypto 2.0 group at CSC. The reason for this was mainly the announcement by IBM and Samsung of a partnership that demonstrated Ethereum connected to a washing machine. You know, if you remember, it was like, but this kind of all of the sudden allowed the blockchain space to be something that you could do business with. Before that, it was like it was treated like a madness, you know, similar to when we see like when there's a big bull run and then you got like scammers. But that's kind of the perception that everybody had at the time, and nobody will do any business. So in a way, that allowed me to come out of and then start this group. In the group was mainly a simple forum, but CSC will have 100,000 employees. So the idea was like, hey, you know, I'm gonna start giving this information. In a way, it was risky, but thanks to my friend Nigel Barron, which I met them just when I started the group. The people from the research network came along, and we got the CTO of banking talking. So there was lots of people interested, but nothing happened at the time. But we really didn't get any funding or did anything. It was just lots of emails to the CTO, but nothing really happened. Yeah. So meanwhile, I started experimenting with the EVM. .NET was limited by the crypto libraries at the time. So eventually I ended up creating that, but yeah, it was still very hard to build and super difficult to do anything in enterprise, as everything was Linux and so on, and yeah, and it's more nightmare to do anything. And Ethereum was released, and then the Maker white paper was announced. This to me was like super impactful because a lot of people who are with search community um, that were working on the DEX and the stable coins, etc., or just part of the community like Rune, they started to they were doing this. Rune was working with the dollar before. I've had a look about that, and obviously looking at Ethereum, etc., and try to do stuff with it. But all of this kind of was demonstrating things that things were ready. Because before that we always saw like little smart contracts, the tokens, etc. is still like an amazing thing that you can create a smart contract and by coding in Solidity, but we have here two areas. First the financial, like, hey, what happens now? We can create a stable token that many applications can use and are part of the same chain, that you can create this stable token that can have the collateral of many of these applications or just ETH, and that's when WETH was created. So and mainly will solve issues like we have seen with USD or Next, that you will have if a black swan happens, the peg will not be maintained and will be a major issue. Well, that was the ideal, because later on we saw that Maker had issues, and then we needed to use CUSD. But to me, the most important, especially for my family and my father now passed away, like, hey, this might mean like we can create something that is recession and crisis proof, etc. So I was, this might help. But on the other side, Nikolai and the team and Ryan and they have created DAPL and DAPSys, or they were creating, and which is where smart contract frameworks, just much before the Open Zeppelin, and later on, well, it will become Forge and Foundry. They will be used as what DAPL uses. So if you're familiar with the Forge test, the history comes from DAPSys and DAPL and all the great work that later on has done the DApp tools, like people like Martin. And again, this was all open source and very open and welcome community. Like, everybody have very good standards about, like, they wanted to help to change the world, and these were tools that were built to help Maker, but to help everybody. The ideals was amazing. But yeah, this will be impossible to work with the enterprise. I couldn't install any of these. At the time it was like all the systems were completely locked down. So I thought, well, hey, Microsoft does the best IDEs. So I kind of pinged Scott Guthrie and Scott Hanselman. Scott Guthrie is the Azure CTO lead, and Hanselman is one of the big developers. Guys, hey, what happens with if we can do VS Studio Code or Visual Studio support for Solidity and frameworks, plugins like DAPL, which what happens is they ignore it, obviously. But at least I was promoting Ethereum. So DEFCON 1 was coming along, asked CSC to fund it. It really was only 1,000 USD at a time. It didn't happen, obviously. I was not getting any funding for my group anyway, or our group, my group. But then later on, MS announced the sponsorship. So I was amazed by the Microsoft team that actually managed to pull out that, because, like in big companies, nobody, there's always like a few people who were normally interested in the blockchain. And again, it was a big risk to actually anybody do anything, even if they were later on find out that we're doing stuff with consensus. But hey, for me at the time, was nothing, none of the wiser. So I didn't go to the Con 1. I went to the Denver meetup instead. That had the cabin good, and there really was like 12 people there. At the time, really nobody really was doing anything with Ethereum, and they will think that. But again, I was pretty impressed because there were the presentations about which you were seeing DEFCON 1 about it was B9 Labs that I remember about insurance and many other things. Just then, like literally like 5 days later, the Visual Studio Code extension announcement. Now, VS Code you had it before, but it was only working for a JavaScript, as I remember. Suddenly, like, hey, now it supports extensions. So I thought, what if everyone could see Ethereum Solidity the first thing after the announcement? So in a very similar time to this, as I was working away, so I used to wake up at 5 o'clock all the time, and I still got that pattern. So I thought, like, hey, let's make a quick extension for Solidity, and then see if everybody gets to know about Ethereum. So I kind of did it in a couple of hours. I started with the JavaScript highlighter, and then I saw the guys on Sublime had done one, so mainly I kind of refactored it and do it and did it, and yeah, we were talking about fail fast. Let's do it. Used to the again into the enterprise releases. This you in the blockchain space, you can release it straight away, and you don't have all these corporate changes, like, hey, can I do it, etc. So hey, let's do it very quick. So all my ideals were like, let's just put it out, and let's promote Ethereum, obviously driven as well with the ideologies like, hey, if we blockchain can change the world. But I always thought, really, Visual Studio, the one that's normally used for .NET or C++ development, etc., that would be the one to go, because obviously nobody was using it there. And if enterprises could do it, you could be able to install it in all our .NET teams that we had, and they would be obviously amazing. So, and everybody started using Station. Well, no. Well, nobody was using it. So most people ignore it. There was people were using Sublime at the time, and so in the Linux environment, etc. So and obviously didn't do much. Like extensions at the time, you couldn't do a thing. Syntax highlighting were as much as you could do. Even if you got the JavaScript, etc. That was and TypeScript. In VS Code, but that was Microsoft stuff, so you didn't really have access of that from the extensions. But later on, I started adding features, as new features were coming, I started adding features like the compilation, and there was the double pre support, which was an ERC that later didn't happen. And yeah, I was thinking, hopefully somebody make the proper one, the Visual Studio. And they actually did. And so I didn't know, again, like Consensus was working with Microsoft. So then Kill Tito from Microsoft created the Visual Studio 1, the big fat one, and yeah, it was like it was a few months later, and I was super excited about this. It's a proper Windows one, and now had now Solidity extension, and I look at the code by decompiling it and so on, and it was like, my God, this was Kale has done so much work, and later on we talk about it. Just to make a 16 highlighter, it was like a full parser there, and so on. But the history, like eventually VS Code attracted more users because it's cross-platform. Now everybody uses VS Code, but at the time, it helps the flexible extension system as opposed to the old the Visual Studio, although the other Visual Studio still is amazing. And the lesson learned, nobody knows what's going to be the next popular framework or IDE. Ethereum should support everything. Ideally, the more the merrier, and never ignore something. Because I personally was like, hey, let's just, people will find out about Ethereum. That was my original intention. Although the enterprise element was important, as if VS Code will it will be able to be installed into enterprises, as I couldn't do install anything, Sublime or anything. I couldn't do anything. When I used to travel, I used to travel with my personal laptop, and then have it at work next to me, just to experiment and lunch breaks and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of my small little journey. Telling the journey is just everybody starts somewhere. You say, like, I started very early. I don't think I started early. You see all these other we think like comparing with Vitalik, and when Vitalik was talking about Ethereum, I didn't, to me it was like everything was blowing up my mind, and I had to study a lot and trying to figure out how everything was being done. So everybody starts somewhere, and then you just kind of stick to it, and everybody can help. Because I also at the time, I was an architect. I was not coding. I was coding just to keep myself skills, and how to create tools for other developers. And mainly that's kind of I've been kind of later on doing, but that was my daily job. So everybody can contribute in any way. So demo, and a big demo, so how to work with it. Let me stop the presentation. So I created this little sample, which is VS Code Solidity example of Open Zeppelin, Soulmate, and Foundry with a test. So the idea is that after this I will kind of probably I'll give you the link. You can put it in the description. But mainly, like, if you got problems, I think this covered many scenarios, and we can cover. I know that sometimes it becomes hard to configure, and then the problem is I just try to be super agnostic. So because everything started with Dapple, and then funnily enough, Dapple came after Foundry, and Force came after that, passing through DApp tools. And we have this a weird thing called package default dependence contracts directory, which is the short version that Dapple was trying to achieve. So you don't have to write very long names for your directories and confuse your test libraries and so on. So that was kind of the default. And later on, people started using OpenZPL more, so eventually I have to swap that yesterday and people things were released through node modules, etc. and so on, But the overall idea, again, just keep nothing is legacy. Things come back and actually work for can work for everyone. So if we look at let's look at the code itself. So if we get started, for configurations, we can go to open user settings and then just type Solidity, and then we will see here like the general configuration. So I have the compiler optimization if you want to compile with VS Code Solidity, but most people just like use Forge, Hard Hat, or Truffle, and although sadly Truffle is not anymore, but I guess somebody will be picking it up, so nobody can say that's finished. I also have this was one of the requests I had. It's like, hey, I just want to bring my own Solidity version, because I want to work offline. It's like, okay, well, just you can put it there, put the path there, and then that will be used the one that one that's local, and then just change the compiler to local file or node module and embed it and so on. Or if you use a remote version, you can just put the latest, just download the latest, or type the right version. This is hard, but that's there are other ways to do it, and I'll show you in a second. And then just little bits enables you type, use a formatter. You can use prettier. I suppose that the default Forge later on came along, so you want to use Forge, you can do that. Then linter, Solhint is the default, but Solium was the original, which later on became the ethlint, and so Annie used to be the default one, and then later on some people who somebody could create a Solhint came along and it's like, hey, I created pull request added, and kept back the Solium one because that was kind of the default, and obviously eventually ethylene Solium died, so I changed it to Solhint. This is kind of part of the ethics that you have to follow. Monorepo support. This is a kind of latest, well, a few months edition, and this is again one of the main issues that we have. We don't have a project file. I might have will say this so many times during the presentation, but we don't know. And the idea of a monorepo support is that if you're here, and you say soulmate, it's like, hey, this is a project. I might have multiple projects and that are around in my environment. So the only way I need to be able to find out where is your project is like, hey, oh, you got a Foundry there. Okay, so that's where your project starts. But because there are so many frameworks, I will then look for remappings, truffle config, brownie config, Foundry config, hardhat config, or that file. So that we have inherited this from the fact that we never had a simple proc file. So if you come from the .NET or a project file, that will have help. So what I do here, if you want to enable these, mainly it will look for all these files. If this doesn't, it will just work at the root of the workspace, because VS Code has workspaces, and then that's how as well they get away with it. You have different workspaces, and that's the root for your specific project. So you can create multiple workspaces. Now in configuration, where can we find the node modules? In the node module package, where are the package dependencies control directory? We'll talk about that in a second. You can edit your remappings, Solidity rules, Solidity rules, and if it's going a bit slow or too slow or too fast, you can check for the overall validation in here. So let's get down to business. So yeah, one of the things, like, hey, what compilers shall I use? So you can actually, you right click to any smart contract. You can change the compiler version just by right clicking. So you can change normally everybody will use the remote version or the local node module or embedded. So just go here and then just set the version for the project to, let's say, 19. Yeah. And that will be set on your VS Code settings. Yeah. But what I've done, and I've done it on purpose, is that I have set the global one. The global is for your every single instance of VS Code. But I can change the compiler, the workspace compiler version, which is the current version here, and then that can be the 19 again, and you will see in the settings that your version is 19 now. Yeah. So if we go here, if we compile contract, we will see that there is a problem, and we can fix the problem. Sorry. So we need a new compiler version. Yeah. And so again, you can right click, or you should be able to see the normally a quick fix, which hasn't been picked up, and change the compiler version. So, and again, you just go here and change the workspace compiler, and off you go. And that should do the trick. So if you go to compile again, things will be clear. So that's kind of compiler configuration. As we can see, like I have, what I have done is I'm put the example of Forge, but node modules works the same, but Forge is kind of slightly more complex. I thought that will be interesting. So in here, we've got the OpenCPLN, and OpenCPLN is in the lit folder, and the contracts, and in the contracts folder. Yeah, obviously the name is different, but also it's got the contracts folder. So here, this is scenario, the best thing to do is just use your remappings, and just put the OpenCPLN program as contracts equals the lib. Yeah, OpenCPLN contracts and contracts themselves. The idea of the remappings is definitely when got these complex scenarios, the best an easy way to go. But yes, I just brought the soulmate example here. And soulmate actually is just OpenCPLN contracts in utils. Yeah, so so mainly that goes directly to here but from the lib folder. So but this VS Code defaults to a lib. Node modules are as the default place that we will put your libraries. So if this we wouldn't see it there in the contract itself, because in the settings of VS Code itself, because it's something that we already have. But if we look at the package default dependencies directory, and this is defaulted to node modules or lib. So mainly when you bring in OpenZeppelin, etc. from npm, it will be in the node modules. When you bring it normally from Forge, it will be in the lib folder. But both of them the default, so you don't really need to worry about them. So that's where the magic happens. Okay, but Soulmate itself, what is good is it's source files and in the source folder. So mainly this is lib Soulmate source tokens ERC20 blah 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 dot sol. So why is the this again comes from the whole DAppSys and Apple times. So and hence I wanted to mention that, and that's how things change and eventually come back. So mainly to do this, well, VS Code Solidity has is like mainly you got your source folder could be where the default the contracts directory is in the source folder. It can be blank, like in OpenZeppelin, because OpenZeppelin resolves directory goes there straight to contracts, or mainly just contracts, as well. So you may say, instead of saying OpenZeppelin contract, you might say OpenZeppelin access control. So in here, that is kind of how we supported everything this way. So this is kind of how just there's lots of magic that needs to happen. Obviously, you could although do that through remappings. Actually, Forge creates the remappings for you as well if you need to. And it is super helpful. But to me, it's like ideally, if somebody opens VS Code, ideally it should work straight away. So I try to I try to default this, but I need to check it again. It sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But mainly that's you in a way you need to know about this if you're already using. You can see in the Foundry as well, and where the source directory and like and so on. So that's how kind of one of the kind of major things that we see like people having issues. And obviously as part of the features, you go, if you press Control, you should be able to see the overall information about the contract. You can navigate to them. You should have how to complete and so on. You should you can obviously find reference as well. So there is there's lots of stuff that has been that you can do, so if you don't see any of these, mainly your configuration, you kind of issue with the configuration, because obviously it's trying to overall find these smart contracts. Although I know there's other problems they will have is like the parser is broken, as this uses a custom parser, so that's mainly the language server might have broken and so I need to create a fix, a bug fix, or feel free to submit a fix, and then we'll see it in a second when we go through the other areas. But overall, these are the most simple settings that you will find that you will need to kind of use, and you can see like later on. So overall integrated with Forge, your tests will be the same, so things work as expected in the same way, and obviously you can compile with these. Ideally, as if we had because so many using this, if we have a project file, then it could be hooking to the specific framework that we're using, and then hooking, there were comments like, hey, can we put the tests and so on, and I was like, yeah, this will be amazing. There will be some easier integration into the different frameworks. In the same light. And another thing I really want to do is like, okay, so if we can actually sync the out folder with the compilation out here, then yeah, that will be a nicer thing, and then keep it in the same format. So everybody, and that was one of the goals I had, and had debates about this. But now I am the one who needs to catch up, and so if everything is kind of configured in of the bin folder, as we had this with the old Visual Studio KL Teacher extension, everything was going to fit, and bin and the other, then yeah, we will be in a better scenario. So this is kind of get the overall simple configurations, and you should just to have shouldn't be complicated. And I know people are raising issues, and just it is hard with a project file. It is hard because I need to get so many environments, and that makes life complicated. But overall, I think it kind of works well. And so I want to move to moving on to the presentation, like the overall project ethics. My thought of this is like, we are all individuals in an open source ecosystem that want to help Ethereum, VM, Solidity in any shape or form. And hopefully this will be technologies that will make a better world. Although sometimes we might all get very depressed, as we can see how things are turning out in some scenarios. Anyone can help. Also, even me. It is hard to trust, but also it is hard to trust anyone with all the scams, hacks. So mainly, I put my name on it. When I release it, I just release it. So I didn't know what to do as was the free extension, so I put my name, and then just kept it there. But in a way, I always believe that as developers or anybody that creates something, you love what you do. It might not be fantastic, what you do, but at the end is part of what you do. That's what defines you. Ideas like always contributing, always instead of forking, copying code, respects everybody's work. This takes me to my days on Royal Mail or any other, you know, everybody's life is the work, and if not abandon, you know, in the you can help by continue the work and, you know, respect the people who has created. When I created to integrate with any library, I just think that's a way to promote their work. So if I integrated Solid at the time at Lint, I was like, hey, you know, everybody needs to know about this linter, you know, freaking great. and always agnostic. I got so much the troublemaker on this, like people like, hey, use I should use your prayer for this, for the other, and it's like, I just always try to be agnostic, not promote any framework or the depend, regardless of where I was working or funded, etc. You know, the you know, always like I said, first come first serve, and then we leave everything as a plugin model. It is all configurable. Yeah. Happy to integrate any project library that is anyone's development. Like I said, first come first serve. Even eventually, maybe something will be sunset, like at length. But the next one will be the full one. But there's nothing legacy. You know, I hate the legacy word because I've seen, you know, as the older I get, the more I see things that resurface. And we have the example with Apple and Foundry. You know, things come back and ideas come back and they make sense. You know, just skip them. You know, if not, we end up reinventing the wheel. Sometimes I think legacy is a way for software companies to force you in the own path and then make things obsolete to sell you more products and so on. You know, so let's respect everybody, and then you know great ideas come back later on. Did I mention that we had started a prayer file? Yeah, support any type of developers. You know, for example, code generator for specific languages. I have the Ethereum code generator there, and I always hope, you know, over all these years that somebody will comments like, hey, let's put the JavaScript or Java one and then generate UIs, etc. So please, if you fancy, do it, put it there, and then we extend that menu. That will be nicer. So contributing. Everything is MIT, so it's open source. So if you add it, just know that that's what's gonna happen. So don't come and, you know, I heard about companies later on then claiming IP and whatever, you know, that's just pure evil. So, you know, it's just MIT. Yeah. And again, on that note, pull requests as a person or a company. I was gonna say, like, companies come and go faster than people, especially in the space. You know, we've seen so many things disappear and going away, and then you know, go back to like, you know, we are all individuals trying to help. You know, don't be afraid to pull requests. There's no city code, so yeah, look at my code, because I'm definitely not a TypeScript developer, and yeah, so you know, things can be reviewed. Although surprise pulls is like it makes me feel bad in two ways. First, like if I don't know enough about it, is how I feel like I need to answer straight away, and then I might be so busy, and if I don't answer straight away or make the release, and then I have to review it, and then if I know a bit of advance, I can you know, time about it, you know, and then don't be critic on the architecture and so on. And on that note, don't make big pull requests. Please discuss the future. I'm always in the Ethereum Discord, hanging around there. And yeah, I find it hard to be everywhere. You know, so if I'm everywhere, then I don't have time either to do normal things. So but yeah, the big request, I found that myself in the hard way. When I started doing my first open source contributions, like big contributions, I had this great idea of change the whole authentication system for a big library, web development library. And it wasn't accepted because nobody had a clue what had done, even if it was great. so yeah, probably for a bit of conversation, it has, well, you know, and then I felt bad, but then understood. It's like, I'm so stupid, you know. How am I expect people to come up with these humongous abstract classes and so on. No spelling corrections again. The time, yeah, I'm dyslexic when I code, so really I do so many. So I'm really focused on something. My English goes out the window. Anybody can check my Twitter for that. So if I understand GitHub, please type Discord, Twitter, or Farcaster. I mentioned before when we were chatting that out of Farcaster is great. Contributing areas. Sol parse. So Sol parse is the peg parser for Solidity. This is JavaScript parser, which mainly allows you to it parses allows you to navigate through the whole syntax of the document. So there's an Antler parser there, and I personally, as part of the LSP, I thought like, hey, Solidity team should have the LSP, but then but that project was abandoned or paused, you know. So literally for me, it makes a lot of help, a lot of sense, because if you look at the .NET team, they have their own the tools, etc. But anyway, we parsers are great, you know, so everybody can add any functionality. So I continue with the work with the Sol parser. And Sol parse, we're talking about Solium. So the latest version that was like 5 years ago, it was by the Solium Edlin developer, but he picked up the work from Team Culture, sorry, Federico Bond, you know, so you got, everybody has gone through it. So I'm just kind of continue the work, you know. So this is not an evil fork. It's just mainly it's been abandoned. So I'm just kind of helping to continue work. I originally talking about forks, I didn't fork it just to add incomplete fork functionality, and it was like lots of nodes. So that's how it's EXP, because it was experimental. Don't touch this, you know. This is for Solidity VSCode Solidity, but now it's kind of the only one that's left. So yeah, if you want to contribute, if there's any issues, new syntax or anything that is changing, that's the place to go. LSP, the language server. So mainly we've got a code completion, code to definition, hover, references, etc. So mainly you got a full object model here for how to navigate the whole all the contracts and each specific statement and so on. And so this is where some of the magic happens. So as slowly the language evolves, things might break, you know, or things when maybe some like something with the using statements and so on. So yeah, this is the area to go out, put some improvement fixes. And obviously, if you want to do some major refactorings, I support refactorings like global refactorings and extract interface and all that. That would be amazing. Although we got Copilot coming now, so I don't know if we're just gonna rely on Copilot guessing what we're doing. Action providers. So VS Code has this idea of action providers. So mainly this really can be hooking with the Solidity, the compiler. So as a document gets examined, we should be able to create a fix. As the Solidity team is great, and it gives us like these amazing responses. So for example, to fix a checksum address, I just kind of, instead of using generated myself the checksum I will have done in kind of .NET, or just use a library, I just use the response to get the right corrected formatted address. And this can be kind of seen somewhere here. Where is content? Yeah, so if you go, there we change the letter there, eventually it will complain, and then we just compile it, and then just and then you can sometimes this is so well, you have to trust me, it works thanks to magnificent VS Code is taking preference the Copilot than the tooltips. But yeah, so again, something you want to fix, it can help. So mainly you will get something like that. We have many for those, by the way, like there are many other, like I said, new code generators, compile and code generate with CSR contour definition. I been wanting to add the UI generated for .NET. That's kind of been that's one of my main goals for many years. But .NET has been evolving too fast for me to be able to create something that it won't change. So, but I think we're nearly ready for that. We know. Also, but again, that's my side. Web3j, Java, PHP, oh god, it's like there's so many areas that the Delphi guys could do help as well. Don't know what happens with PHP, but and so on. There are so many areas. You might want to do React, you can want to Vue, we can do. There are existing areas for that. They might be coming to hooking in here, so people have visibility. So obviously it's not so like, hey. It's just hooking into some areas that people may not have, not know about it, and then that might be the first front end, to find out. Other areas, well, synthesis, tips templates. So I have a lot of tips as well. So part of the autocomplete, this is great, So Copilot is taking over my tips, So but the idea, so you have things like this, ERC, whatever, ERC 20, instead of using Copilot, you can use something that the community has contributed and so on. Like I said before, integrate with other frameworks, So hey, let's put for a test command and then just mainly because using Forge now, just call Forge, or Brownie or whatever, yeah. So that's kind of it. Hopefully it hasn't been too fast or too slow, or has some valuable information apart from. So yeah, if you got any questions, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was a great talk, and I have I mean, the history and the how to use it, and the also how to contribute was very interesting. So thank you very much for that. So I myself, I don't think I've got any. I mean, I've got a lot of ideas now about, about what things that I should really think about contributing, or at least trying to contribute, finding some time to put in refactoring support, which would be awesome. And now I know how to do it as well. But I don't have any questions. Does anyone else have any questions that they would like to ask Juan? Oh, well, maybe everyone has learnt everything they need to know, which is good. No, it was a
Sounds good. Yeah.
It was a very good talk. So thank you. And yeah, and I will put the link to the repo that your example. So that example repo is public, is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. I'll just send you a link. It will be much easier.
Yeah. All right,
it is because the name is very long. So
yeah,
it will be hard to find if not. So yeah, yes, it's public already. Yeah.
okay, all right.
I'll send it to you.
Brilliant.
And obviously,
yes.
yeah,
yeah, and we've got the merch store for the meetup where you can get hopefully what people will find to be really cool. There are people we've sold about 100 t-shirts now, and there's people who, I know there was a guy who he was walking along in an airport, and someone just walked up to him, some random individual, said, "That t-shirt is so cool, and where can I get one?" And so yeah, it's a thing now, which is
I know, because when we chat for the first time, I saw your t-shirt, and then I thought, oh, I love it, the upcoats one, and yeah, I like it. Yeah, I know. I'm advertising, because the designs are great. Yeah, not your kids, not your crypto. Yeah. Fungible.
All right. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to talk about Passport Wallet, and then we're likely to have a talk in early December, but it hasn't been finalized yet. Then we've got I've got a interview question challenge thing, which I think will be a real challenge for people. It's not dramatically hard, but it'll really show you whether you know your Solidity and your Ethereum, and how well you feel that you can do stuff, and how confident you are. So I think that'll be interesting. And then in January, I'm going to talk about decentralized sequencer friendly consensus algorithms for ZK rollups, and what the properties of the algorithm should be, and just generally how that overall system of ZK rollups and decentralized sequences can work. And then we've got Christian, who's going to be talking at the end of January about he's going to be analyzing wallets that aim to not get in your way, and so these simpler wallets that will hopefully mean that people trying to remember secrets and like passwords and the big long passphrases should be a thing of the past. So hopefully, I mean, that should be a really interesting talk. So my talk is going to be on the one that Immutable is creating, called Passport, but he's going to talk about some others. So it should be really interesting. And if you're interested in doing a talk, please get in contact. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, the one last one. Yeah, YouTube. So if you're here now, we're on YouTube. If you want to join the talks live, join the meetup, and there's some example code, not the code from this talk though, and there's a Slack workspace, and that's all. So look, Juan, thank you again. That was a really great talk. And I'm sure everyone's learnt stuff and is going to walk away thinking, I really should contribute. You know, I can help. I too can do something.
Well, either the extension or yourself, you know. So you might have that was the point, that you might have an idea and you might be frightened, you know, you to take the first step, but you know, you can create your own project, and then you know, you don't know if it's going to work, and it might turn up that everybody ends up using it, you know. So so yeah, it's everybody makes an impact, and it's you know, VS Code by chance become like a very popular IDE, obviously for all the other extensions, and then no, obviously not this one in particular, and then investment kind of reinforced the whole open source community. You know, many people has made a IDE popular because everybody has done it a tiny bit. But yeah. You can, you know, anyone can do, you know, can help, and obviously, you know, with the right motives, you know, like the theme community and all the blockchain community, you know, we all had good intentions, you know, and it's so hard that it, you know, really, to me, it depresses me, like when we see so many other bad actors and they kind of ruin the effort that we all have done, you know. So that's really yeah, hard, you know. And then we can be bad actors in many areas, you know, even developers, you know, so it doesn't have to be scammers and Twitter or financial. And so yeah, thank you very much for having me. You know, really, I love this talk. I really like, I've been following it. And all the talks are so informative, and they're really nice. You know, I was very chuffed that you contacted me. Thank you very much.
Oh, look, and thank you for adding to the pile of informative talks. You know, I think that I have so many people who contact me and say, oh, look, I want to get into blockchain, or I've done this, I've done that. How can I start doing things? And I think I'm going to direct people to this talk and just say, look at this, you know, you can start from something small and you can create something that'll change the world. And yeah, so
well, we all make a tiny bit, and then all together might change the world.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, have a great day, and thank you, Juan. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And I'll post this to YouTube in, I don't know, sometime tomorrow, but yeah, in the next 24 hours.
Okay.
All right.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.